Dr. Pry, I'm Russ Devan, and I am here with Wake Up America Media Network, and I'm continuing the conversation with Dr. Pry that was so brilliantly handled by Erica a little earlier. And Dr. Pry, I was thanking you. It's an amazing milestone for us to have someone of your credibility and stature take the time to speak. And Erica, of course, brings that millennial generation that I think is so important and needs to hear this. A few years ago, I learned about EMPs, and I've got to tell you, the whole conversation around that, everything that I read, not only made so much sense, but it absolutely terrified me. And just having you here is kind of a comfort, because your knowledge of it and that getting out just makes me feel better that people are going to be finding, solutions and working towards this problem. What do you see? You said a moment ago that why you felt it was important to have this conversation with people.
Well, I want to say the honor and privilege is all mine for you to have me here. You guys are more important than I am, because you are speaking for the grassroots. You're the Minutemen of the nuclear age, of the cyber age. And we need the Minutemen, like the Minutemen of old, to come to the rescue, because the government is frankly failing. The government is failing to protect the American people. And it's only by getting this information, this knowledge out to the average American, that perhaps we can cause outrage. And if they can't move the government to do the right thing, that at least people can take steps in their personal lives to protect their families and their communities, and be strong from the bottom up. I'm here in part as call that an act of penance, because as we were, I'm part of that government bureaucracy that might have caused part of this problem. When I was working at the CIA, all of this stuff that we're talking about today was deeply classified, and we weren't allowed to share it with the American people. And it was the judgment of government that this was the wise thing to do, because we didn't want the enemy to know about our vulnerabilities and talk about them publicly. But later, when the EMP Commission did its research and analysis, and we looked at open source military writings from countries like Iran, North Korea, Russia, and China, they knew all about EMP. They knew all about our vulnerabilities, and they were planning in open source military writings to attack us with that we've seen them in their military exercise practice using EMP attacks against us. Cyber attacks against us as well, physical sabotage attacks against us. As I had mentioned in the earlier segment, North Korea just last year orbited a satellite over us, the KSM-3 satellite, at the perfect altitude and trajectory in the middle of that nuclear crisis that happened in February, March, and April, when Kim Jong-un was threatening to strike us. So coming here is an act of duty, a duty to warn, because all wisdom is not in the government. And unfortunately, the attitude of in Washington tends to be that they know better than the average American. They have to do the thinking for the states. It's a very paternalistic kind of an attitude, not the kind of an attitude that the Founding Fathers expected Washington ever to have. It is a dangerous attitude. We were talking again in the last segment about how Washington, many of them, seem so complacent about the idea that ISIS is not an imminent threat to us. Mike Morrell, who had been the acting director of CIA, said it would take a year or two for ISIS to organize something like another 9/11 attack. And yet I explained, how they could within days or a week just call up, the Mexican drug cartels and have the bad guys come across our completely unprotected border and attack our obviously vulnerable grid.